This is Changing Channels with Larry Walsh, the Channelnomics podcast that connects you with channel chiefs, thought leaders, and executives about what it takes to get the next generation of tech to market. Here's your host, Larry Walsh, the CEO and Chief Analyst of Channelnomics.
Hey everybody, as the nice lady said, I'm Larry Walsh, and welcome back to Changing Channels, where we talk about what it takes to get products to market. And getting products to market is increasingly more of a consumer exercise. We used to call this consumerization of the enterprise, when we'd say that buyers were bringing their consumer experiences or what they did in their personal lives into their purchasing processes and considerations. And it's not trivial to call that consumerization. B2B buyers are increasingly looking to have similar experiences in the way that they research, the way that they buy, and the way that the products get fulfilled. In fact, we did a study at Channelnomics. We did a study of Global 2000 companies, and we asked them about what their expectations were. And they are looking for quotes. They're looking for information in hours, if at the most days. And what partners then tell us is that it sometimes takes them weeks to get quoting back from their vendors to get the information they need to put out a proper proposal. When vendors talk about stimulating the channel or getting more performance out of the channel, they typically frame it in the terms of fuel. If they put more fuel in the engine will run faster, the engine will run farther. And that's, in the channel parlance, fuel is often it comes in the form of money. So whether that's, deeper discounts or higher rebates or spiffs for, selling specific products or some other monetary incentive, this is all the fuel that vendors pour into their channels in order to get partners to do more. Well, partners don't always react or respond to fuel the way we think they will. And in fact, what we found at Channelnomics is that partners will typically gravitate towards a vendor that is easier to do business with, or as we like to call it, has less friction. Now, why would that be? Is because if it's easier to do business with you, then they can move faster. They can respond and react to the customer and react to the market easier than they can with those that are more difficult. So fuel versus friction. What we found in our research is that vendors that are easier to do business with tend to have 3 times to 5 times the partner share of wallet than those that have more friction. And again, this is purely because partners have an easier time or can move faster if they're given the choice between more money on a slower or a low volume of sales versus turning over more sales with a moderate profitability. They'll gravitate towards the easier processes, the easier way of doing business. And that brings us to our guest, Kim King of Hitachi Vantara. She is the Senior Vice President of Strategic Partners and Alliances. And Hitachi has been doing something which I find almost unbelievable. And I am not kidding when I say that, because they have, over the past couple of years, have developed systems to actually take most of the friction out of the quoting process for the partners. They're giving partners the ability to go in and build their own quotes, name their own prices, get access to the incentives that are available to them, and do it at speed. So I'm not going to take the punchline away from all this, because I brought Kim on here on Changing Channels because she's the one who's been overseeing this. She's the one that's brought this to reality. And I will tell you is that I have shared Kim's story and Hitachi Vantara's story with a few other channel chiefs that I know. And I just based on the description that I've shared with them, which Kim will go into greater detail on, they're envious of what we're going to share with you today. So with that, I'm going to say, Kim King, welcome to Changing Channels.
Thanks, Larry. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for being here. And I'm glad we're able to get the internet in New Hampshire for you.
Yeah, don't say anything. The wind will kick up and my internet will go out. There you go.
The old man in the mountain is gone, so there's no saving you now, right? So
no. I have my son in the back room on the bicycle, making sure that it still runs for me. There you go.
Excellent. That's a bit more reliable than the hamster they used to have.
That's right, for sure.
So, Kim, what we were describing, many people would recognize when we're talking about automating and optimizing the quoting process for partners. This is the promise of CPQ, of configure, price, quote.
Right.
But Hitachi has gone on a much different journey than that. So why don't you first tell us what it is that Hitachi's been doing in terms of automating pricing and quoting for partners, and why you did it?
Sure. So we completely revamped our process, right? I spent a lot of time with, and I have to say, shout out to my team. I have an amazing team that works on the CPQ, and my partner team that's just sort of runs the overall program. So they really looked at what were we doing internally and how are we driving more efficiency and automation for our own sales organization. And the team came back and said, we can do this for partners. And I said, great, can I have it next week? My normal sort of answer is, how quickly can we do this? And it was so important for us. They got it done really quickly, right? So now we've had it rolled out for about a year and a half. I mean, it's amazing when you look at where we went to, right? And my whole goal, as you know, since I joined Hitachi Vantara, was ease of doing business. The number one complaint that I heard from my partners was, you're really hard to do business with. It takes me weeks to months to get quoting and pricing done. We don't have any deal reg. We don't have all the basics, right? To me, this was basic blocking and tackling. And so looking at the overall process from beginning to end, it took us 90 days to take what we did internally and roll it out to a small set of partners, which took us from 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it was, to literally an hour for our partners to get an approved quote in their hands with all the automated pricing and configuration and discounts that were applied to them. And we've made it better and better every time we've upgraded it. So the initial partners we rolled it out to were in North America and in Australia. And then from there, we've rolled it out around the globe. And today we see 60% of all of our partner deals go through partner automation, where they're approved within an hour for basic approval, and they can come back for additional discounting. And typically what we see is that's less than 4 hours to get that additional discount if it's required. But really amazing, I think, work by the team.
Yeah, under an hour. So this is what I mean, is that this goes beyond the dream of CPQ, and no disrespect to the CPQ vendors out there. They do a remarkable job, but it's not an hour to get this thing done. And that's why I say is that when I've told this story to a couple of your peers, they're like going, no, I really want to hear about this because it can't be true. But it goes what's that?
I was going to say, it's true because you've seen it happen in real life. So
yeah. I can honestly say that I have witnessed this. I've witnessed how this works. But it's more than just being able to do it fast. Right. It's about giving the partners access to information that used to be closely guarded, like state secrets. Right. Like you didn't want the partners to know everything, or you didn't, the ability for the partners to be able to see their incentives, to be able to see their profit stack, attached to products, to be able to understand and actually make decisions in real time. That was something that was, taboo, or in many places still is.
Right. Well, I think part of it, we were trying to also change the perception of Hitachi Vantara, right? Hard to do business with, really expensive, no margin, not flexible, right? We've completely wiped all of that out. We're easy to do business with. Partners are making significant margins, front end and back end with us. And we're giving them opportunities, especially around new account acquisition or new market or new product acquisition, and driving those in tech refreshes. So our goal was really to show them how they were going to profit from working with us, and how then, as being a key partner of theirs, right? We weren't oversubscribed. They have this amazing ability to make double-digit margins with us. And it's easy for them to do that and see where they're going to make those margins and drive those dollars, and how they wanted to allocate those, right? Do they keep them? Do they give them back to the customer? It sort of flows through the whole value chain, right? For our customers and our partners.
That takes, as you described, that takes a lot of work. And yes, a lot of introspection on understanding your products, your pricing, your own margin tolerances. What was that like? You said 90 days to map that out, but it took you years to actually build it. So what was it? What did you discover along the way?
Yeah, so the team, prior to rolling it out, partners, it took them 2 years to go through that self-discovery process, right? Really understand what were they willing to give, how were they willing to work it out specifically with those with the end users and our sales team, right? The sales team always wants more and more and more, right? And so what was the floor that we were willing to go through, and still understand how we could drive the right engagement with both our customers and our partners. And so a lot of the hard work, I would say, was done prior to the rolling it out for the partner community. Then we just looked at what were the stopgaps we needed to put in. How would we ensure that we could drive the right behaviors? And I think some of the other key items when we look at it, right, it's kind of self-learning as well, right? So we're constantly looking 180 or 90 days back, right? We're looking a couple of months back and making sure, do we have the best price? Is it a market price for this geography? What did that customer buy at last time, right? And so you're taking the analytics into consideration too, which is some of the things that we've done over the last year and a half since we've rolled it out, right? Really trying to put the right tools and resources into that understanding of the best price possible for the end user, and then also for that partner to be competitive in that opportunity. And so, it's really important for them. They have to decide, right? Are they going to give up a lot of margin, or are they going to hold that margin back and drive that into their overall profitability as a partner? But we want them to be able to make that decision and not take it away from them. So it was a lot of sort of introspection, like you said, and decision making on our part, that we had to trust our partner community to do the right thing.
So it's interesting that you describe it like that. You want to give the partners the ability to make decisions on their own. The partners give them the ability to make choices.
Yes.
I want to come back to that because in order to grant that power to your partners, this also means that you had to give up a tremendous amount of control. That is not necessarily in the DNA of a mature, large enterprise vendor.
Correct.
So what did you have to do to culturally get Hitachi Vantara to actually accept that they were going to do better if they did not exercise or let their hands off the levers as they've traditionally done?
So a couple different things. I think primarily what we looked at was the velocity to close, right, business. And so one of the things that we hadn't really been looking at was what is our created and closed in quarter? And when you look at created and closed in quarter, it was pretty dismal, I think. And if anybody who's trying to control things too tightly, you can't get velocity and volume, right, and control things at the same time. And so I asked everyone to trust me and to trust the team that this was the right thing to do. And what we saw, I think we shared the numbers with you. I mean, it was amazing, right? So in the first couple of quarters, we went from 13% created and closed in quarter to 65% by Q4 and created and closed in quarter. And right now, we sit at right about that 60% every quarter of creating, closing opportunities in quarter. And a lot of them in what we call our commercial space, right, which is 100% partner-led, which has a mix of enterprise and mid-range, middle of road and small businesses. But these are customers that have needs. They want those needs met right away. They can't wait forever. They have a change, or maybe they have a challenge that they want to deal with. And if a partner can answer that immediately, then they're first to bid it, usually they'll win that opportunity. And so that's where we saw that. We were able to track it and show that it worked. And so finance let it go a little further and a little further, right? In operations, we're starting to see that not a lot of special pricing requests, that our street price is pretty aggressive in the market, and that we're competitive overall from a product perspective. And because we can move quicker than our competitors, our partners are pretty aggressive about going and taking that pricing to their customer.
So that's the inside view of this.
Yes.
That's what you went through and demonstrated that to your own people.
Yeah.
But how do the partners take this? Because there's a long tradition of horse trading between your partner sellers and your deal desk, and you go back and forth. And by the time you're able to get this out to the customer, all of those decisions have been made, and not by choice. And it's just sort of like it happens as a part of the process. What's it like to actually go back to the partner and say, hey, it's up to you how you want to do this?
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest challenge for our partner community. And in the beginning, it took them a while to sort of adopt it. And that's why I think as we looked at our numbers, right, the adoption was slow. And then gradually they realized they had control, and then it got better and better and better. And that's where we saw the volume and the velocity really take off from our partner community. But what's interesting is a lot of this goes through our distributors. And so they're the ones that are driving a lot of the quoting. And they actually, one distributor, will remain nameless, came back to us and said, we're actually slowing down giving quotes to partners because it's so quick, the turnaround and the way that you guys are able to do, provide us with all the information, that we feel like we're adding zero value. So it sort of, was this sort of tug, right? And we kept saying, well, give them access, let them understand what they're seeing, help them understand, right? So that they understand the complexity of what's going on. And so the adoption rate really just for partners, like I said, they don't believe it, kind of like you came to me and said, I'll believe it when I see it. We had a little bit of that in the beginning, but once they started to see that adoption and what they could do and what was available to them, it really opened up their eyes. And right, remember, we wrapped this in a brand new portal, in a new deal registration process that we automated and really drove. I mean, all of these things were like slow adoption in the beginning. When we look at it, right, partners were like, I can't believe and we gave them so much automation, they actually didn't even understand it in the beginning, right? So we had to sort of slow down and take them through that process a little more deliberately versus just here it is, good luck type of thing.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask you to name which distributor. We could guess, but I'm not going to ask you to do it. But that is a bit of an endorsement as well as an indictment, isn't it, to say that we had to slow it down because we're not adding value? Doesn't that speak volumes about the current state of the art when it comes to doing quoting for partners or quoting through the channel?
Yeah, and I think this is where, for me, you have to trust your channel and you have to trust the partners that are out there that they're going to do the right thing. And I think trust isn't one of those things that, if you talk to most sales organizations, right, they're saying, oh, we can't trust anybody. They're only here for fulfillment. I don't know how many times I heard that, right? We've heard those conversations before. At some point, you have to trust that people are adults. They wouldn't be in business as long as they are, and they wouldn't be successful as partners if they weren't out there doing the right things. And so it's a little bit, I think, the good news is with this, we've been able to even shift our relationship with our distributors to really drive engagement and some of the key items that we want them to do, because they don't have to do all of this configuration and quoting and requoting that they were doing before. So we've driven them more towards lead development, new partner recruitment, onboarding, micro learning, right? All the things that we want them to do that are truly value add as a distributor, they have more time to do because they're not doing all the blocking and tackling because we've automated that for them.
That's actually sounds a really wise shift in using your distributors' better assets, because as you know, there's no shortage of distribution skeptics out there that say, well, look, they're declining in value. What value are they adding? But there's still a lot of value in things that do come through distribution as a result of their other assets or other capabilities that drive partner performance.
Definitely. I think distributors are so, undervalued as a part of our overall ecosystem. I think, and I've seen a massive shift from our distribution community they have the leverage from a marketing. Many of them have their own agencies today, right? We've developed this sort of go-to-market around inside partner managers that they are driving value and go-to-market and really engagement with new partners, and then managing that long tail of partners for us, right? So if you think about the capabilities that you can give them, if you automate a lot of the stuff that they shouldn't have to do, that's just, it really makes the investment in distribution so much more, really worth it.
Yeah. So Kim, one of the issues that I track personally is non-standard pricing or special pricing. Mm-hmm. And because I hear this all the time is like, well, how do we get the partners how do we incent them? Well, let's change their discounts and let's put these requirements in. And then I go and look at what the vendors are actually doing. They're like, oh, well, okay, 80% of our deals are going through special pricing, which negates everything we just talked about. Mm-hmm. But you're saying you're seeing fewer special pricing requests. What's making the difference here? What's actually driving down the need for partners to come back and say, hey, we need a little bit more. We need to sweeten this deal in order to be able to win?
Yeah, so just numbers wise, we're only seeing about 15% of our deals go through special pricing requests.
As opposed to what? What was it before?
It was flipped. It was probably 85%.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Big difference, huge for us, right? So I would say, and most of those special pricing requests are in, markets where, it's a little tumultuous, right? You have a weird competitor. So if you look at sort of China, right, with Huawei, or, other markets where you have a specific competitor that's targeting a market or we have to be more aggressive and support that partner in that arena. But for the most part, because partners can see and select which discounts they want, right, and which promotions they want to put in there, and because we're driving that street price the best of our ability to support them, they're trusting that it's the right price and it's holding in the market because they're winning the deals. So I think that, like we said in the beginning, they're able to trust the overall process. And then really they're only coming back to us. We're seeing it in, where there's government tenders or there's a specific competitor that's trying to be more aggressive in that market, or something that happens, that is out of bounds. And that's where we're seeing that 15%, right? Versus, or, it's with a bigger partner like a GSI and there's multiple folks bidding on it, right? That we need to be just a little bit more aggressive about it. But yeah.
So it truly is, because to me, whenever I think about non-standard pricing, it should be the outlier. It shouldn't be the rule. And
Correct.
What you're describing is that there are situations which do require special attention. So it does sound like you've flipped the script on this.
Definitely. And there, we still have markets that don't have, that aren't currently using our automated pricing tool. And that we made the decision last week in a meeting that we're going 100%, right? So our goal is, there any markets where we didn't have that, or we didn't think that it was a comfort for us, right? There were some markets where people were like not as 100% comfortable. We're lifting that up and saying, we're going to do this worldwide for everyone. Yeah.
All right. So you've gone from 85% of your deals going through special pricing to about 15%, not hard numbers, but we'll just say approximations, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What about partner lift? Because when I tell other, your peers and the people who work for you that, that the average partner is originating less than 30% of the sales that are flowing through the channel. Most of it is originating with you, or if not, it's being claimed that it's originating with you. Are you seeing a difference in the percentage or the proportion of deals that the partners are bringing in the door versus what you're pushing out to them?
Oh, significantly. We're seeing, I would say probably we went from about 30% of partner created to probably 65%. In some geos, it's about 70%. So I would say on average, we're about 65% are being generated and created from partners and coming back to us. And then so we've really doubled down on pipeline development and growth and driving those engagement with partners so that we can really provide. I wanted to get it to more of a 50-50 where we're driving just as much to them as they're driving to us. And so we've had to catch up with our marketing tools, which we did this year, right? So I think the additional capabilities around sort of marketing hub content, really driving that overall engagement through the partner portal, which we upgraded this year, that marketing piece. And then the most recent release of our partner portal also provides them with MDF spend, return on MDF, what are they doing? And so they're able to actually see where those dollars are going and how they're turning them around. And then we're driving engagement. So we've seen a huge, I want to say it's a threefold increase in the activity on the marketing hub that's really driving usage year over year, which helps us, right, with that and then development for them. So, yeah, we've just seen huge growth. I mean, double-digit numbers. I mean, even the new account acquisition, I want to say tripled this year with partners. I don't want to give you specific numbers, but I will say when I shared the numbers just from Q3 with our CRO, he was like, "Are you sure that number's right? That number seems really big." And I said, "Yeah, that's what new account acquisition through partners was in Q3." And he was just shocked. So I think that we've just seen some significant growth across the board, and we've increased the number of partners across the world as well. So that's good for us.
So it is, you actually can, through this process and through this quoting engine, you can actually see, I would imagine almost in near real time, the difference it's making in terms of productivity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We see it just across the board. The partners are more, like we said, more productive. We can expand and really see where partners are active. We see the distribution. We see the growth month over month, quarter over quarter. We're tracking in real time in pipeline. And like we said, we look at created and closed. We look at partner engagement. There's a bunch of metrics, leading and lagging metrics that we're really trying to understand. And so if any of those go down or move in a different direction, we're digging in right away to understand how is that affecting us, and why are partners either pulling back or why are they leaning in, and what should we do more of?
Yeah. One of the things I also hear, and in fact, in our annual Channel Chief Outlook study, you and people like you, the leaders of channel organizations, talk about the difficulties in getting access to meaningful and impactful data. So now you have all this data you're able to see the triggers, the things that are actually working and not working. What were the surprises? What did you learn that you didn't know before you went into this?
Wow. So there was a bunch of different things, right? I think really how many partners were actually transacting with us when we look at that. I mean, we didn't know, right? Prior to 2 years ago, we didn't know how many partners were transacting in a quarter, how many end user accounts were they driving, and of those end user accounts, right, how many opportunities. So there's opportunities, end users, partners, and then you sort of look up through the distributors, right? So we were able to see all the way down from our distributors, how many partners are they actively working with? Of those partners, how many active customers? And of those customers, how many active, opportunities do they have across the board? And when you see all of those numbers start to become larger, right, and more engaged, you really start to think, wow, this is working, right, from our perspective, right? Versus, well, we think it's this number, or we think it's that, right? I think challenges that I've always seen in the past from a channel perspective, and this is right, you have to sort of really sort of look at it and say, this is how we're proving that we should be a valid person at the table, right? We have to have a seat at the table from a channel perspective, which typically it's, oh, you guys are overlay, or like I said earlier, you guys are just driving, you're not really driving incremental. It's just fulfillment. If I heard fulfillment one time when I first joined Hitachi, I probably heard it 100 times from our previous CRO, right? And so we can actually show that today, right? We can show the value of the channel. And I think that's so important to go to anyone from our CRO, our CEO, our president of the business unit, and sit down and have an intelligent conversation of how much pipeline is growing, how many new partners are interacting and transacting with us, how many net new customers, right, did we drive in a given quarter, how many opportunities did we create and close in that quarter, right, and how many partners have certified on our solutions. And so when you start to really look at those metrics, you're seeing the engagement metrics, right? That was so important to show partner engagement. And it's not just, we said, oh, well, partner engagement is that they completed the certification. That's not partner engagement. Partner engagement is they created, closed, and they're selling for you, and they're happy about it, right? Not that they had to do it, but they're enjoying doing it with you.
Yeah. I applaud you, because that's, we should actually have this enshrined somewhere in the channel. When things are going well, sales is doing something good. When things are going bad, blame the channel.
Exactly.
And I think that honestly, that's really one of the challenges that we all face. And you have a weapon now that can not just make results, but also prove that they're working. So I think that's pretty remarkable, Kim. Look, I know a lot of, like I said to you, I wasn't lying and it wasn't embellishing. I have shared the story with a few people that say, look, it is possible. I'm sure a few have already reached out to you on this as well. But, if you had a peer, if I brought in one of your peers, off camera and said, they want to do this, what's the starting point? It's getting everybody internally aligned behind this, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Like I said in the beginning, it's huge kudos to my team
internally, our pricing team, right, our operations team, our finance team. You have to get everybody on the same page and make them your champion internally. I mean, even with our overall portal, I had a huge, win with them and our internal IT team who championed and supported it and found dollars for me to get the portal done and upgraded and get through all 3 phases. So I think it's important to really surround yourself with the smartest people you can in the organization and get them to understand how valuable this can be to driving sales and really driving, top and bottom line growth from a partner perspective, right? I think you and I lived this for many years, right? So you have a sales problem from our salespeople at it. To me, if we have a sales problem, you got to throw more automation at your partner channel so that they can be more successful and drive velocity and growth. And so that's what we did, and that's what we're seeing. And I think there's always a different way to look at it. And so I would say start with your biggest champions in the organization that can help you be successful, because you can never do it alone, right? It's a team effort.
Yeah. Well, Kim, this is, I applaud Hitachi and Vantara for what they've done. What's next? What's, where do you take this next? You said you're going to be rolling it out globally. So what does that look like, and how does this continue to evolve?
So we're going to roll it out globally, like I said. And so the big next step for us, and it goes to the announcement that we had today. So we talked about we launched a new hybrid cloud message and where we're going in the market. I think we've been a little bit quiet about where we're going and the challenges that are facing our customers in getting data in the right place at the right time. Our next generation, and one of the things we're looking at, is how do we support the as a service, hybrid cloud, really that all of those models, right? And so when you think about where we're going, where we are today, right, with very static sort of, stayed and true methodology around pricing and quoting, that's a very different model, right? When you look at as a service. And so we're going to expand this into an as a service leasing, our Everflex model, this really a unified compute converged, hyper converged solution, driving that with our new solutions that are out there. So anybody who wants to go out and look, we have a ton of new videos out on HitachiVantara.com, and they can see all about it. But our next generation will include that hybrid cloud solution and how we support our partners and our customers through that journey. So a lot of our competitors are leaving partners to the side. We are embracing our partner community. We want them to be as successful as we are on this hybrid cloud journey and driving as a service. And so we're gonna drag them right along with us in an automated fashion.
So, and that's leadership right there. And I also want to say, in addition to checking out Hitachi's videos, you should also check out Kim King's blog on the Hitachi Vantara leadership site. I mean, there's a lot of great thoughts on there, but Kim, I have to say, and this is obviously biased, but it's true, is that you have some really great thoughts in the blog. So you posted on that site as well. Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. So Kim, I really want to thank you for joining us and sharing what you've done at Hitachi Vantara in terms of helping partners get quotes faster and better. Everyone, Kim King, the Senior Vice President of Strategic Partners and Alliances at Hitachi Vantara. Thanks, Larry. And I want to thank all of you for once again joining us here on Changing Channels. Technology is changing the world, and at Channelnomics, we're tracking how that's changing the channel. So please hop in again next time. Thank you for joining Changing Channels with Larry Walsh, a production of Channelnomics, with the support of our production team at Modern Podcasting. If you've enjoyed today's episode, hit the like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and share with your friends. For more information about Channelnomics services and insights, follow us on Twitter and YouTube, and check out our website at channelnomics.com. Channelnomics is a registered trademark of, and Changing Channels is copyright by 2112 Enterprises, LLC.